I'm not really sure what I just ate, but damn, it was good. These are words I'd find myself saying often during our 1-month tour of Vietnam. Last night we stayed at my parents' house. They were kind enough to feed us and bring us to the airport. We're used to 3 a.m. pickups for our flight to Mexico, so it was a real treat to sleep in till 6:30. Check-in was a breeze, and soon we were whisked off to Vancouver for our first flight exchange. Korea Airlines is the airline I would totally travel with again. Their service and amenities made the 14-ish hour flight pleasant as can be. Their safety briefing is this spacey K-pop video. You gotta check this out. It's awesome.
손님 여러분, 지금부터 기내 안전을 위한 안내 말씀드리겠습니다. 휴대수화물은 좌석 아래와 머리 위 선반에 보관해주세요. 좌석 벨트 사인이 켜지면 벨트를 매주시고 풀 때는 덮개를 올려주세요. 좌석 벨트 사인이 꺼지더라도 항상 벨트를 매주세요. 가자 쭉 날아볼까. Just get down. Wanna go high. We're gonna fly, fly, yeah, superstar. I get a couple hockey, I just gotta get ya. Cause we're a little late. I'll give you what you need. I know where to walk, you better believe. 비상구마다 안내 사인이 저저 지금부터 잘 들어. 구면 부분 좌석 또는 발걸이의 아랫부분. 머리 위에 붙어 있고 버그를 기운 잠그는 몸에 맡겨줘요. Yeah.
The food was also fantastic. I had bibimbap for dinner, and oh my god, it was the best airline food I have yet eaten. If any of my friends like sriracha, you need to try the Korean version, gochujang. It's like sriracha times 10. We made it to Seoul with our legs aching to move. I was grateful we were changing planes again so we could get some walking time to our next terminal. Our bags were sent straight through from Calgary, so I was really hoping my cynicism in systems proved to be unfounded, and it was. Our bags were there. After a 4-hour flight to Vietnam, we arrived at our destination of Hanoi. Customs were so smooth we barely noticed it even happened. Even our first experience with getting an entry visa processed went smooth as butter. Hanoi is big, really big, with a population of 8.054 million people in one city. We were driving for ages, it seems. It was 10 p.m. or so local time and 24 degrees Celsius. Most of the places were already closed up for the day. Our hotel room had a broken bathroom and water issues, so we were upgraded to a sister hotel a few blocks away and closer to the Ho Han Kim Lake. The hotel is quite nice, and it was only $30 a night. Gotta love that. We wandered about and finally found an open restaurant that seemed busy. All the kindergarten-sized stools outside were full of people enjoying the evening. That is, until a military person showed up and just stood around looking at the restaurant people. Seemed like he was subtly enforcing the midnight shutdown time. No beer for us here. So we found a Circle K convenience store, bought 4 Saigon beer, and wandered to a park by the lake. Even though it was midnight, the place was packed with adults enjoying each other's company and filling the squatty stools. The police kept coming in and around and breaking up clusters of motorbikes and scooters that were accumulating at the parks and the roundabouts. And in about 15 minutes or so, they would return. It reminded us a lot of shooing flies off of food. And around 1:30 in the morning, we found our bed, and although the mattress was really firm, we slept like the dead. Today's goals of drinking Vietnamese coffee, touring about by foot, Vietnamese coffee, Vietnamese food, Vietnamese coffee, and some historical sites in Vietnamese coffee. Well, you get the idea. After sleeping like the dead, I was surprised we woke up at 8 a.m. I would have thought we would have slept longer after being up for 25 hours or so. Perhaps it was our sleep debt training from work. Our hotel also provides us with free breakfast just in case it wasn't cheap enough already. This isn't a muffin and some Tang drink breakfast. This is a full-on cooked from a menu selection breakfast. I need to find out what the fried egg roll thingies are called because they were delicious. We decided to focus the day on seeing the mausoleum of Ho Chi Minh and the accompanying grounds. The museum and mausoleum were closed from 11 till 2 p.m. and we arrived at 11:15. We used the time for wandering the gardens and checking out the Buddhist end of things. The pagoda on a pillar was exactly that, a pagoda built on a cement pillar in the middle of a pond, because everything's better on a stick. We found a street vendor that was serving some barbecue beef pho and had some of the most delicious Vietnamese food I've ever eaten. Hanoi beer is now the new front-runner of beers. It reminded me a lot of the easy drinking flavor of Mexican Tecate. After lunch, we wandered back and toured the original presidential palace and grounds. We also got to see Ho Chi Minh's house on stilts where he lived and where he met with foreign heads of state, and 3 of the cars that were given to him from the French and Russian governments. He's quite revered, and he's referred to by the Vietnamese people as Uncle Ho. He had some pretty honest ideals that he really wanted to free his people from the tyranny of the French government. If you're interested, there's an amazing and surprisingly unbiased documentary on Netflix about the history of Vietnam. I can't recommend it enough. In Vietnam, there's no traffic controls. Everybody just sort of stays on their side and just sort of weaves in and out and bobs their way to where they're going, making ample use of their horns for everything. From our hotel room, it sounds like the opening refrains of Gershwin's American in Paris down below. And across the street, you just have to head in that direction, and if you want to go with a slow, constant speed, and all the traffic just flows around you like water. I call it having faith in your travel insurance coverage. That evening, we decided to go to a water puppet theater show that was nearby. This show originated in the watery rice paddy areas as entertainment. We got some street food for dinner before the show. Had a little bit of trouble eating my bird salad. The salad was good, but the bird's head that was staring at me while I tried to find some meat on the rest of the bird pigeon was disconcerting to say the least. CJ's dried meat was good for him. The beer was great. The water theater was a couple doors down past Kopi Luwak coffee shops. They has live musicians for the show, and that was absolutely fantastic. The next day we walked to Hanoi Hilton. This is the infamous prison that held the Vietnamese revolutionaries caught by the colonizing French until their ousting in 1945. The Vietnamese then held American pilot prisoners there from 1963 to 1975. The French used the grim institution to its fullest. It was an educational and sobering morning. We wandered the roads randomly back in the general direction of our hotel. Found some coffee and some very questionable banh mi on the way there. We also came across an 18th century Catholic church and the Silk Road. Nearly every shop on Silk Road sold some type of painted or embroidered silk as well as silk clothing. It was hard not to leave there without buying everything. In the evening we got a little lost in the historic district, but finally found our way back to where we wanted and had a massage as well. We set out to find a craft beer corner, which we never found, but we found a food restaurant and a district that was wall-to-wall with people watching the World Cup soccer game where Vietnam won against UAE 1-0. Next day, we were on our way to Ha Long Bay, so we hit the bed early. We booked a tour with our front desk hotel guy, as was recommended by a friend of ours. He says, don't book anything from home, book everything through your hotel desk. And the hotel guy said the tour we wanted was not to take the more famous Ha Long Bay tour where there's 500 boats that leave a port for that section of islands every day. Take the more northerly island, which has 50 boats a day, 9 of which were anchored at the same bay as we were that night. But a super luxury bus picked us up in the morning and took us on a 4-hour drive to Halong Bay, where we caught our boat along with 15 other people, and motored off into the mass of sharply rising islands that made up the area. It was some of the most jaw-droppingly beautiful scenery I've ever witnessed, and I'll hold these memories dear. If you ever get to go see anything in the world, you should go see this stunning area. The food on the ship was amazing and never ending. Everyone aboard went kayaking around some of the islands and swimming in the water, then more kayaking, back to the boat, then more food. We all tried our hand at squid fishing at night and had some games in the evening. Thankfully, nobody felt like breaking out the karaoke machine. In the morning we woke up for some sunrise upper deck tai chi, some breakfast, and then walking through a giant cave that the area is known for. There were some significant stalactites and stalagmites in the cave. As the boat puttered back to the harbor, we learned how to make flowers out of vegetables and spring rolls. Back in Hanoi, we got everything sorted out for the next day and wandered out to find dinner at the night market. This market happens every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and the police close off about 6 blocks for pedestrian-only traffic. There's also a huge stage that sets up for pop stars to give free concerts. The area is pure chaos. People, scooters, vendors, music, so much humanity and noise. We went to see a concert, and honestly, we couldn't move anywhere for the mass of humans. We didn't last long until we decided we were ready for the quiet of our hotel room. But first we had to get there, and that was a challenge in itself. Tomorrow, we catch the plane for Dong Hoi in part 2 of the series.